All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the last match of the day. We have Cloud going up against HayprO. It's going to be alternate attacks against Team Liquid. They're moving over to NASL's Crevasse.
Oh man, ZVT on Crevasse can be a pretty interesting situation because, you know, a lot of the time, ZVT kind of relies on that reactor Hellion expand and, of course, taking some map control, denying expansions from the Zerg early on. So, of course, on a map like this where you have an in-base expansion, it is just going to be a little bit more difficult, you know, for Cloud to actually utilize that type of play. So maybe we'll see, you know, just more drop-oriented play from him, or perhaps just more straight-up aggression-based play.
Well, I hope not, because that is probably one of the winning lines to do. Right now, I just want to tell you a little bit of story for all of you at home.
Story time.
Cloud has just officially tilted me. He trolled me pretty hard in chat.
He did troll you.
Previous to this, he said, "Hey, Greytorp, have you ever played StarCraft 1?"
Have you, Andre?
Yeah,
har, har,
yeah,
har,
I
har.
have played StarCraft 1, Cloud. Of course, he said he was trolling me, but it makes me rage. And for that, I'm going to be heavily biased with HayprO. So let's look at how amazing HayprO is this game. Look at that, scouting directly over to Cloud's base. This is going to give him a direct advantage in this game. It'll allow him to see this expansion coming up. I can't wait for Cloud to be smashed.
Why don't you explain why this decision from HayprO was clearly so intelligently made, Andre?
Okay, well, obviously going over here, you will be able to see if an expansion is coming up. That gives you a lot of indications where you can go with your builds, how greedy you can be economically, both in drones and possibly getting another expansion. A lot of times, Cloud, we've seen him do something like a 14 command center, and look at this cheesy noob is doing a 14 command center.
I like this style of casting, Andre. I hope you do this all the time, man. This is just absolutely great. Yeah, he's going to go for the 14cc, so of course that will give him a nice little economic advantage if he can hold it. But I don't think HayprO's going to punish it, man, because he already threw down a hatchery of his own. So both players going for the very economically focused builds here. And HayprO's going to go ahead and go for that drone scout now, be able to find out exactly what Cloud's doing. But you know what? He already sees with that Overlord. Oh, there's the command center. So you know what? I'm not even sure why he's drone scouting, because he actually has literally all the information you could hope for right now.
Wow, interesting. And HayprO is actually going to reveal his Overlord to his opponent, so basically tells where he is as well. I would love HayprO to do another hatchery right now and just take that additional base, although anything that HayprO does right now is a winning move.
You know, I do agree that taking a third base would be a smart move. I'm actually pretty surprised that he did go for the pool and gas after seeing, wow, my opponent's going 14 command center. I mean, why would you need the pool and gas? Wow, he actually blocks the barracks from going down there for a moment.
Great play.
Second barracks, yeah, that's... Oh, Andre. You actually got me there for a second. I was like, didn't even realize what you were doing. But you know what, HayprO, you know, I feel like what might not be a great play is that he did take the normal Vespene Geyser first, which is something we always talk about.
That is absolutely fine. What he's going to do is eventually get the rich Vespene gas. He hasn't yet, but he should be getting it in a little bit. He's just toying with his opponent and saying, okay, these are the things I can do. Of course, he wants to get his metabolic boost as fast as possible, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see another Vespene Geyser going down, or extractor going on down on this Vespene Geyser, because it is the rich one. It's more important.
Yeah, at this point in the game, though, of course, gas not going to be too important for HayprO. Would expect him to take that third base before starting to get the second gas here. Simply because he knows his opponent went for that command center first. So with that command center first play, obviously you're not going to want to stay 2-base versus 2-base with the Terran and ZVT. Probably going to want to add on that extra hatchery, you know, wherever it may be. Obviously it can be a little bit difficult to defend in this map at the frontal third, of course. But you know what? He had really good scouting information. He even saw the second barracks get put down by Cloud, and he saw that timing. He saw the lack of any gas getting thrown down by Cloud. Still no gas from Cloud here. So I am just so shocked that HayprO has not decided to take that third base. I mean, usually he is such a macro-oriented player.
What I like about HayprO is actually he has his Overload over here that's checking when the gases are going to be taken. Of course, it doesn't give an indication that all gases aren't taken, but he can see one over here and one over here. It's a very clever decision. And it looks like he will be going up to 2 refineries, Cloud, or 2.5. That is okay, because my boy HayprO over here, he knows how to react.
What's that reaction going to be, Andre?
It is going to be a third queen. He's going to put down that creep tumor, and hopefully... Oh, what a cheesy noob. Cloud is going to go ahead and bunker rush at the 6-minute mark. Clearly, he didn't get the memo that bunker rushes aren't that good, but what it's also going to do, unfortunately, is block HayprO from throwing down that third hatchery, which is what he really wants to do. We can see he's actually banking a lot of minerals right here.
Yeah, it's actually pretty surprising. So I guess he's just waiting, wants to make sure he'd be able to have the minerals to throw it on the hatchery. But even with the hatchery down, he's up at 500 minerals right now. So definitely needs to work on his macro just a little bit here. Has a roach horn on the way, 10 more lings. So he's going to be going perhaps for some aggression, or maybe he's just playing it defensively. But you know what? This style from Cloud could be a little bit scary for him to deal with because he's not going for that standard Marine tank style. He's actually just going Marine Marauder. Looks like hasn't made any Marauders just yet, but he does have 2 tech labs there. And there we go. 2 Marauders are on the way. So this Marine Marauder composition could actually be quite effective if HayprO does try to rely on roaches.
Yeah, it looks like roaches are coming out. Of course, we see the roach horn evolution chamber is going down. Not a second evolution chamber. That's normally something we see when we do see the mass ground army, rather than getting the mutalisks, just overdeveloping that ground army, being able to just scale correctly with how strong the Marine Marauder composition is at this point in time. Cloud is preparing, in my opinion, for a huge timing with +1 attack. So as soon as this +1 weapons attack comes out, we're going to see a big push out, and it's just going to be straight up Marines Marauders. I'd be very surprised if we saw anything else. Maybe a command center might drop, but I don't expect a factory or a starport to go down.
Yeah, it's just going to be this really big infantry attack, and this type of an attack, you know, I don't want to call it all in, but it is very... it's risky because, you know, if you end up moving forward and you just lose a lot of units to something like, you know, a burrowed Baneling bomb or just some type of bad engagement where you get surrounded and Banelings coming in and blow up your whole army, you're going to have kind of nothing to show for your name. Of course, you're not going to have, like, medevacs left over. You're not going to have any tanks, obviously, to try to clean up Banelings. So it's going to be a little more hard, a little bit more difficult to actually deal with those types of forces. But you know what? No, he's actually going to throw it on the 3rd command center. So he's just trying to make this a big, huge Marine Marauder ball. And what I like about his play, what I like about what Cloud's been doing, is that he's been denying the scouting from HayprO pretty well, and he's been keeping those Marauders hidden. So HayprO's been unable to see those tech labs, been unable to see that, in fact, Cloud is not going for Marine tank. He's going for this Marauder-based composition. But 2 Overlords are trying to poke in right now. One went into the in-base natural, but will escape. It looks like one's now going into the main, but it looks like it's going to be intercepted by some Marines. Great play by Cloud to not show those Marauders.
No, he did see the Marauders.
I
went on the vision of that Overlord.
Man,
he was able to see the Marauders. That should be a ginormous tell that an incoming push is coming, because we don't normally see Marauders unless there is going to be some sort of push like this. And now Cloud is going to be breaking down this wall. It does look like that Zergling is in range to see all of that firepower go on the Destructor Rocks. We'll see, what does HayprO do to just absolutely smash his opponent?
Well, right now he's getting a Baneling nest. It does seem pretty late, though. He's got 36 more lings on the way.
Crap.
But, you know, that Baneling nest being this late, it's going to be so hard for him to actually defend his 3rd right now, because he's, you know, without any Banelings, he's been relying purely on Zergling Roach here. And, of course, I mean, he does have +1 Carapace. Cloud does have the 1-0 attack upgrade, so he's moving forward. Nice scans to pick off some of these creep tumors. And big stim moving forward, but there's a huge flank. HayprO coming in from both sides with all of these Zerglings completely surrounding the force of Cloud. It looks like Cloud's going to lose everything.
Everything is going to be cleaned up, and Cloud will be massively behind, because the factory has just come up. The 3rd command center cannot be lifted off into that bottom place. It looks like HayprO has complete map control. That is something that Zerg definitely love to have now. Look, that infestation pit is going down. We're going to have a huge amount of ground forces for HayprO. He will forfeit, however, that air control that we see so many times. So if Cloud knows what to do, he should start dropping pretty fast. But look at how far he is away from dropping. It's going to take quite a long time until he's able to get that starport up with a reactor.
Yeah, he just is trying to get as much of an army as possible right now, because there's an attack on his front door. I mean, HayprO is trying to take out these rocks so he can move up into his base. I'm really surprised he can just morph some of those Zerglings into Banelings and bust down the depot. But, you know, he's not really able to do much damage here since Cloud does have the wall up. But the debris is actually dead. The supply depots have not been made yet. They're in queue, but haven't actually started. He could have moved up there and gone for the engagement, but it looks like he decided to sit back and wait instead, wait for those reinforcements to show up. And, you know, I love what HayprO did in that huge engagement, and that huge flank.
Yeah.
I mean, if he hadn't had that flank and just attacked and moved from one angle, and Cloud had been able to kite the entire time as opposed to just being surrounded instantly, it could have been a really bad engagement from HayprO. Now he's forced to fall back, since it looks like Cloud trying to move out to be able to secure that 3rd base. And he has, of course, gotten that tank production, but Siege Tech is just finishing now. We already have Pathogen Glands about 2/3 of the way done for HayprO, and Burrow about halfway done. He's starting to get a ton of upgrades as well, continuing those melee and Carapace upgrades, as well as, of course, that Overlord speed upgrade, Pneumatized Carapace. So maybe we'll see him get Vengeful Sacks and get some drops coming in later in the game, but I feel like these Infestors are going to make such a big deal in this game, because Cloud is relying so heavily on this Marine count, and he doesn't even have medevacs to try to help heal them up yet.
One thing that Cloud did so well that HayprO actually didn't redo is the creep spread. You can see the creep just now is spread over towards this outwards area. You need to be able to spread it as far as possible so you delay that push that is so close. We can see it's just this tiny little distance, but hold that thought. There might be a huge engagement going on right now.
Looks like we have some moves from the bottom that are coming for the flank. No, he's not going to engage. It might have been a good engagement, but it looks like he decides against it. HayprO just going to go ahead and play it safe. Of course, he does have his 4th base on the way here, about to complete, so he will be able to stay up on bases. But I'm actually pretty surprised that, he's at like 1,200 minerals right now. He was supply blocked a little bit, so it's understandable. But he's ahead on food. I feel like after he took out that base, or he took out that entire force that Cloud came forward with, I feel like he should have just like double expanded, because
yeah, me too.
There was clearly no point in time. Like, how would Cloud go be aggressive after that? He has to rebuild his entire army, wait for medevacs, wait for tanks. So I feel like HayprO just taking one more base here that only has 1 gas. I mean, that's the critical part of it. This base only has 5 mineral patches and 1 gas. It's more like half of a base. So he's not getting that much benefit from it. So I definitely would like to see HayprO just being a little bit more greedy with his play. But you know what? It's understandable if you want to just play it safe, not actually go for a ridiculous number of bases. But, I mean, look at his money. He's been well above 300 minerals for, like, I feel like 5 minutes or something like that. It's been such a long time. So definitely could just go ahead and do that. There we go. Another base on the way at the bottom right. Looks like he might gear himself up for another 2-pronged attack.
Yeah, it does look like a couple of drops are going to be cleaning up some of these overlords. This is one of the biggest problems of going something like Zergling, Roach, Infestor. You're not able to take that dominating map control to shut down stuff like that and shut down the medevac drops just going all over the place. Again, a couple of overlords will be taken out, and on top of that, HayprO can't really push into a position like this. It is pretty entrenched. Marines are all together, but he needs something more tanky, something more delicious, something like Broodlords.
But hold that thought, he's going for the engagement. Infestor's coming out in the front. Doesn't actually throw down any fungals, only throws down the infested Terrans, but the Zerglings are surrounding absolutely everything. Here comes the replacement. Infestor's huge fungal goes down. The entire army from Cloud is getting absolutely decimated right now. That, of course, there are no Zerglings left for HayprO, but he still has a bunch of Roaches and infested Terrans, and Cloud might lose this 3rd.
Yeah, Cloud needs to retreat right now, but look at that. 2 Seachanks on the top. He's going to be able to clean up all those Roaches. It looks pretty good right now for Cloud, but in comes another round of units. Here's a lot of Zerglings. It looks like Marines get out in the nick of time. Isn't going to be enough. I am not sure. There's so many production facilities over here for Cloud. Zerglings will come in here, and another round of reinforcements are being sent over. Zerglings galore, now taking out all those Seachanks and the Marines. It looks like the supply depots weren't able to get up in time. Finally closes it up. Is it going to be enough?
I don't think so, man. Cloud, unfortunately, maybe if he'd gotten that 4th command center done, he'd be in an alright situation, but it's actually stuck at 99 out of 100 right now, so of course that will either have to be forced to be canceled or killed off eventually. Meanwhile, of course, he's losing everything in his main right now. So much production going down, supply depots going down. He's lost his entire army. It's 132 to 102 right now, so HayprO, but he's got 5 Broodlords on the way, man, and he's still got 1,500 minerals banked up, so if you can get the larva available to him, he actually has plenty of larvae. So if he wants to at any point in time, he can just rebuild his entire army up to 200 right now. No problem, and Cloud has just lost so much mining time. Luckily, the good thing that Cloud did was he kept the majority of his workers alive. So it's still just 64 drones to 60 SCVs, and that's essentially the fact that he kept those workers alive and kept these bases alive means that even though he lost his entire army, he at least still did not fall behind that far economically. It was just missed mining time.
Here we go. The Broodlords are going to start in here. He can start sniping those ASAP, but he hasn't done anything yet. There it finally goes, and the Seachanks are actually doing more damage to themselves than they are to the Broodlords, of course. Now finally the Zerglings are going to run in here and just clean up all the Marines. Just the Seachanks left. They cannot attack air, and this is going to do it for Cloud. Cloud is in a huge pickle. Now just more reinforcements streaming, and GG well played comes out from Cloud. HayprO is going to take game number 1. And you can see HayprO just had a massive advantage. Normally Zerglings and Infestors not that great. I mean, there are much better armies for going up onto positions, especially with the Marines and Marauders being sort of like in a good place where Zerglings can't get the best surround. But HayprO just had not only the numbers advantage, the army advantage, but also the upgrade advantage. That was so big.
Yeah, Cloud, he did stay in the game for quite a bit longer after he went for that first push, but I do kind of feel like that first big Marine Marauder attack was basically all in. Yeah, he was able to stay alive and transition out of it later on, mostly because HayprO just didn't bother making any banelings and busting his front. Otherwise, the game would have just been over. But, I mean, think about all that he had to do that play. First off, he never got a factory, so he wasn't ever going to have, like, tank tech coming out soon, so no no medevac tech coming out soon. He also delayed his third command center by quite a bit. If he had done that build but had the third command center already building, like, much earlier so he could have the triple muling, triple SCD production, would have been a little bit less all-in. Instead, you know, set himself up for this huge attack, sends out his entire army, doesn't have the map control because he didn't leave units at the Zenlaga towers, so he didn't see that army coming from behind him, get caught way off guard, and of course without medevacs you can't lift to get out of there in a sticky situation like that, and we get surrounded by Zerglings and Roaches like that. There's no way a Marine Marauder force without medevacs is going to live.
Yeah, you need Marauders, or excuse me, you need medevacs like you said, but you also need bunkers. I mean, it's really unacceptable not to go bunkers against Zergling Roach. I just feel like it creates such nice walls for all the units behind that, and of course they can just tank the damage and not suffer any DPS after the bunker falls. Of course, you have to kill the units still. HayprO, I thought, played really well. We're going to see if he can continue that streak in game number 2. That's going to be coming up after this break.